Hey, what's up guys, right here. So today we have some very interesting topics to go over, and this begins with MrBeast. Now, MrBeast is a monolith when it comes to content creation. Every ad revenue sharing platform wants him posting his content there. And unlike the usual experience on Twitter where weirdos are trying to expose MrBeast for his good deeds, this time MrBeast is exposing Twitter's terrible monetization program. So this should be captioned images caught moments before disaster, because here we have Elon Musk essentially asking MrBeast to post his videos onto Twitter so they can test out their monetization system. And let's just say it doesn't look very good when it actually happens. So let's take a second and talk about the ad revenue sharing program on Twitter. It is a very, very messy and not very productive one. This came into place about 6 months ago, and it has caused irreparable damage to this platform because the bar to join it is very low, and it gives people a financial incentive to get as many impressions as possible through their tweets. Now, before there was a monetization program on Twitter, it was already terrible. Okay, it was a hellscape. There was already enough issues with bots and clout farming and stealing posts and reused content and things like that. That the goal back then was only clout. It was already that bad. Now we've added a financial incentive to this whole thing, so people are now tweeting like crazy and stealing like crazy just to get impressions to farm more ad revenue. And the funny thing is, the ad revenue rates are so bad, your effort would be better spent in a Chinese sweatshop. And I'm only like partially joking when I say that. But nonetheless, here's that interaction, and MrBeast would actually reply saying, "My videos cost millions to make, and even if it got 1 billion views on X, it wouldn't fund a fraction of it. I'm down though to test stuff once monetization is really cranking." So that was on December 30th, and apparently only a couple weeks later, he would re-upload this video from 4 months ago onto Twitter. And he says, "I'm curious how much ad revenue a video on X would make, so I'm here re-uploading this to test it. We'll share ad revenue next week." And a lot of people were anticipating what that number would be, because this video would amass over 160 million views on Twitter in only a week. So he also made this post when it was cooking up the view, saying, "How much revenue do you think my post here with 124 million views made? We'll share the screenshot in 3 days." And you can see my vote right here. I said 10,000 because honestly, based on my own experience and seeing the experience of other people who have used the revenue sharing platform, that's kind of the number you would expect. It's really, really low and disproportionate to the number of views you're going to get, where on places like YouTube, 124 million views would make millions of dollars. So here is another example of how important this is to Elon Musk. Okay, this was like all hands on deck. He wanted to juice this whole scenario as much as possible, because if he can show off good numbers, maybe more YouTubers like MrBeast will want to post their content onto Twitter. Well, here's the results. His first X video made over $250,000, but he states, "But it's a bit of a facade. Advertisers saw the attention it was getting and bought ads on my video, I think, and thus my revenue per view is probably higher than what you'd experience." And I'm here to say it is extremely different than what you'll experience. Now, let's not scoff at $263,000. Obviously, that's a lot of money. But in proportion to the view count and the impressions, and also what he would normally get on YouTube, it is really not looking that good, especially when this whole situation was very astroturfed by Twitter, who was promoting this video and this tweet like crazy. So I'm going to do something crazy here. I'm going to let you guys take a peek into the Willy Wonka chocolate factory. I'm going to show you some behind the scenes stuff. I'll let you know my deepest, darkest secrets. So back in September, at the beginning of the month, I decided to buy Twitter Blue and try out the ad revenue sharing program. So you can see my course of impressions over that month-long period. I got 17 million impressions over the 30-day period. I don't know what happened here. I don't know if I was getting canceled or something, but that was a big spike there. But I want to focus on the more mundane. Okay, to give you an idea of how crazy this whole thing is. So on the 24th and 25th, you can see the numbers are pretty much the lowest of the whole month. And here's an example of a tweet from that period of the month. This tweet has 32,000 likes and nearly 1 million views. That's a lot of attention on a tweet, and that was considered a very slow day as compared to the rest of the month in that 17,000 or 17 million impressions overall. And here's some of the stats on this. You can see the number of engagements versus impressions. It's actually very similar to MrBeast's report that he shared. And of course, that's a video, so it's a little different than a regular tweet. But let's circle back here and see how much revenue that earned. 17 million impressions earned about $100. Now, when I saw that, I said, that's a wrap. No more Twitter. No more focusing on Twitter. Like, honestly, like, I need hazard pay if I'm going to spend that much time on Twitter. And I didn't spend that much time, let's be honest. I tweeted like 1 to 3 times a day, which is more than I normally do. But like, it was still somewhat of a tiny effort to do something. And just wasn't worth it. Being on Twitter any more than I need to is not worth $100 a month. In my personal opinion, just for me. If that's worth it for you, great. But let's compare that number versus the impressions I got to what MrBeast got. So you can pull out your calculator. You can follow along with me if you want. But basically, to do this in a rounded number sort of way, we have MrBeast, who got 156 million impressions and made $263,000 in revenue. You do the math, you divide that. That's about $1 per 593 impressions. Compare that to my experience, where I got the 17 million impressions. You divide that by the $100 in revenue. That's about $1 per 170,000 impressions. That is around 286, 290 times the rate. So MrBeast was that much higher. Completely disproportionate. Okay, it's so astroturfed. It's very obvious that Twitter was doing their best and advertisers were doing their best to take advantage of the situation and prop up this tweet and try to make a profit for themselves in terms of the advertisers by purchasing ad space under his tweet. This is a very, very astroturfed number. It's very artificial looking. And even then, even with all of that, it's still not enticing for someone like MrBeast, because even if that video is just re-uploaded, so he uploads it on YouTube, if this video would cannibalize even a small portion of those views that would have been on YouTube, that's not worth it, because the views would be so much better served on YouTube, where the monetization is so much better and they have such a higher rate per view versus somewhere like Twitter with their impressions. But yeah, a lot of people were pointing this out. I think it's very obvious that something is not natural here. I mean, MrBeast owned up to it when he shared the revenue, that he thinks there was something going on here. And a lot of people are reporting that they basically couldn't escape this video. In fact, a lot of people are claiming that this is being promoted as an undisclosed ad across the entire platform to juice its numbers. It seems like pretty much anybody with an account was going to come across MrBeast's video on Twitter at some point. Now, the good thing to come out of this, and it's probably not surprising given who MrBeast is, he decided to give 10 random people that repost this tweet right here and follow him $25,000 for fun. And yeah, basically giving away all of the money that he made from the X video. And also warning to the US people, at least, remember, if you win something like this, you're going to have to pay taxes on it. So if you can't pay the taxes, you might want to sit that one out. I'm just giving you a little PSA. But yeah, that's the situation with MrBeast. And it's raised a lot of other things that are going on with Twitter. The ad revenue sharing program's just kind of the beginning, and it's really fostered a different environment. Like, Twitter already had its problems, but the ad revenue sharing system enhanced everything. It is all about impressions. Like, forget clout. People just want their tweets to be seen by as many people as possible, and it's led to some very weird results. Now, I want to give an example of where this is all going, okay? You see these big gimmick accounts. If you're on Twitter, these are inescapable, okay? It's almost impossible to avoid some of these big gimmick accounts. We have one like this, historic vids, and they're just posting sometimes not even historic vids, but here's an example. It's about people back in the old Tour de France of 1962, where racers would drink beer from restaurants and bars on the side of the road to try to keep themselves hydrated. Not the best idea, but that's the video, okay? Now, what happens to tweets like this from large accounts is very, very common now. You go to the replies, and it's nothing but Twitter Blue users, aka people trying to be a part of the monetization program, just leaving random comments that are like so weird and basic. They seem like they're like botted or something like that. You got other examples like here. People just writing a description of what happened in the video. Like, it's totally not necessary. Then you have people posting random videos in the replies that have nothing to do with the original tweet. And you got other ones posting how globes were made in the 1950s. I don't know what this has to do with the Tour de France historic vid, but okay. And then you have people trying to promote their OnlyFans. That's not a new one, by the way. That's something that's existed forever, but it's getting even worse over time. And then you have people like this saying weird comments that don't really make any sense, saying this historical document deserves to be preserved. It's a video on Twitter, bro. And I guess it is preserved because the next comment underneath you is trying to preserve it for themselves and sharing basically something that didn't need to be shared there. They could have made their own tweet, but they do it within the replies so they can get more impressions. It's all a mess, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, I think with the big gimmick accounts and the botting and the questionable responses of random users and how it all feels very artificial is something I will explore more in the future. But I wanted just to point that out today because that is very related to this monetization system and really relates to what we were talking about with MrBeast and how it was so important for Elon Musk to try to promote that video as much as he could. But that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please share all of your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys next time.